doesn't upset. I remember a lot more about visits of Legion for some reason, but I don't know whether you want us to talk any about that or not.
Well, you know, this is getting to be quite big because everybody that hears about it is kind of excited about it and wants to get their stories and everything in. And so we're getting a lot of stories, a lot of talk and a lot of comments from guys all over. A guy down in he used to be here, Larry Munn. Do you remember Larry?
Yes.
Yeah. See, he's all excited about this, and he's in Falls City, is it? I think. And Randy Lucasavage, do you know him from Farwell?
No.
He was big in that side over that way with the ball, and he's been real active in promoting this vintage baseball games, and he's got a team that they go around and play, I think, and stuff like that. But he's going to be inducted into the Nebraska Baseball Hall of Fame here next week for all of his work. So it's kind of interesting how Bob Kuhn, Jack McMahon is on wanting to do some of this. I just talked to Roger Nielsen, Walt Nielsen. Do you remember? You know him from over by Polk, I'm assuming.
How about Bob Kuhn? Is he?
He's down south somewhere for the summer.
Yeah.
Or for the winter, rather.
Well,
Yeah.
he goes to Phoenix, or by Phoenix or somewhere. He's a cousin of mine.
Oh, really?
He's my wife's classmate, so you're getting a lot of familiar.
So, you know, everybody and then we're from the Greeley area, and so I just talked to a couple of guys yesterday who played with the Sherman Howard League. And of course, they want to get their 2 cents worth in too and talk about how it was. So
That must be true.
everybody is kind of, it just kind of brings back, I think, maybe kind of a happy time, a good time for people when they think about it. And I think when she takes this to the rest homes, they're going to it's going to spark so much conversation after her little presentation is over that they'll probably talk for hours, you know, and bringing back all those memories and stuff. So it's just really been interesting to start this. I started a little group on Facebook that is through my page. I don't know if you guys are on Facebook, but most of you guys aren't, which makes it harder. Linda Strobel is on it, and she's been talking to her brother.
Yeah, Jerry Clark. He's a classmate of mine.
What's his name? Clark?
Jerry Clark.
Yeah. And Bob White is a brother-in-law of Larry Munn's, I think, and he played over in Lincoln. Well, you know, this could get so big, it's going to be hard to focus it into 45 minutes or so. But I think she's thinking that maybe a scrapbook would be neat to have with it. For all the things you can't mention in 45 minutes, it will be kind of put together. So the purpose of it kind of is, I guess, to just kind of talk about what it was like then, because we decided kids nowadays don't know anything about how that whole time of life was back then. For the first 6 or 7 decades in the 1900s, that took, you know, that was everybody's Sunday afternoon. So she had some questions that she kind of made up here that maybe would get you started. So I typed it on a different sheet. She doesn't know where I'm typing.
What was your involvement in town team baseball? Like, did you play? Did a family member play? Do you watch?
These guys were all players, I think, weren't you? See, there'll be some that they'll interview that were, one is Jerry Kuhn wants to talk about what it was like to just go along and talk about how it was to be the wife of a ball player. And then there are some that talked about they were just kids at the time. So now tonight we're talking to 3 players.
I guess I thought maybe you wanted back when Dad played back in the 30s, maybe, or something to that effect.
We want anything you have to say.
About you too. Both, yeah.
So, okay.
Well, I played until I was 39. I did miss a few years. Brother Carol, he played in the Sherman Howard League. more than he did around Fullerton. But I remember going to, back in the 40s, my brother was 11 years older than me. They had games in the pastures. All the pastures had neighborhood games. Now you can't even get a team in Hope County. So,
There was a pasture north of Clark's there where they did have a ball field.
Two of them.
Yeah, at one time too, but I never did play on it. Did you ever play on them, Larry?
I never played on it, but my dad was an umpire too, later in the years, and he did a lot of it, so then we tagged along in some of those pastures.
One was on on my mom and dad's place, the
Okay.
pasture right when
Well,
you drive in.
Across from where Bill Coons used to live,
No.
there was a pasture, or there was a diamond there, they played, and then there was the one across from Santon's, where they played.
yeah, those old boys, them big boys, Bob and they had hands like this.
Yeah.
They were good ball players.
Well, Joyce's uncles, I remember, they had big hands too. They catch it, didn't have much for gloves. I remember my dad playing when I was a little kid, and he had one of them gloves that, like the old gloves, I think the fingers maybe were sewed together, but you had to catch it right in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
And how he could catch it one-handed and played second base, I don't know, for Archer team or something at that time, and he caught it, but he catch the ball, and they almost had to use two hands, but all he had was a little pocket in the middle, and how much that would sting when I got big enough to use that glove. I didn't like that at all, so he got me a better glove, but I remembered more about midgets and Legion. I don't know why, because Ed Booth was our coach, and his three boys all played on the same team that I did, and I said he was one of my mentors. I guess that's what I was telling my wife where I came. I remember more things that he said, like one of his sayings when we were going to a ball game somewhere. He said, "Well, we're not very big, but we sure are slow." And the fun with that was he had a stake bed pickup back then, and we all rode in the back of that pickup, or that truck. Dude,
Yeah,
Larry was a little younger than I was, and it was dusty, but we never went, we played every Sunday at either Genoa, well, all of the furthest we went was Genoa, but all the teams around there, and we played Central City at that time, and because Larry, his one boy, when Ed passed away, asked me if I remembered that one Central City game he found in his dad's stuff that we won. We beat Central City when we were playing in midgets, and Larry pitched. And I said, I don't remember, and Larry didn't remember anything about it either. But I remembered more about that because Ed had all these different things. That once in the outfield, I don't know, I was playing left or center, and wherever the ball field was, they had a little low fence, and they drove steel posts, and they stuck up above the fence. And he said, if your guys are going back for a ball, he says, let it go, because the pay isn't good enough to run into one of those steel posts that's sticking up above the fence.
No.
Got another question?
Larry, what did you play?
What positions did you guys play?
I played them all but catch. I played them all. Never did catch.
I played several positions too, right? Outfield mainly.
I played shortstop one time. Well, you were,
Well, in town
What?
team, I played third too,
yeah, well,
more.
I hadn't played shortstop, and one Clarence Virgo didn't have his birth certificate. We went to some tournament.
Aurora.
So they said, who's going to play shortstop? And Ed says, Gary, get out there. I said, I never played shortstop, Ed. That's all right, you can do it. And I didn't do real bad. I don't know. We won a couple games. And the third game, maybe I had one or two errors in 3 games. And I thought I did pretty good for not ever playing shortstop before.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah.
What did you play?
Everywhere, he said.
Everywhere.
Okay. I never caught, but I played mostly center field and pitch and some second base and first base, and got old and couldn't throw no more. Except one night over Genoa, my arm, it had a catch, so I had to allow for the catch, and I had a guy nailed it third, and I turned it loose and went over Brother Carroll's head out in the parking lot.
You're a relief pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
She got more questions for us?
Yep. What towns were you guys involved with?
What towns?
What towns did you play for?
Clark's. I was always Clark's.
Yeah, Belgrade, Fullerton, and Genoa.
It was Clark's that I played
They're
with.
both
I'm going to interject something here. Larry Munn just wrote back yesterday of some memories of his of playing, and he made the comment about every little town and every ethnic group almost had their own ball team. You know, like he talked about playing Krakow. Is that how you pronounce it?
Krakow,
Yeah.
Well,
And-
it depends.
We had
Who's saying?
We had Irish Town out here. The McNans were
Yep.
pretty involved with that. And what were some of the others that were kind of just, do you remember? But he acted like there were a lot of them. That's why I wondered. I didn't
I don't
remember.
know. My dad always talked about Irish Town when they were at Archer and playing Irish Town. I know about her dad helped build the ball field, and he was a pitcher, and I hit a home run, one of the few home runs I hit off of her dad. I had to tell Joyce about the other day. And
I guess it would be the Genoa Indian School too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Would be another group.
We were playing in Krakow, we stood out in left field up to your ankles in sand and sandbursts.
How about the field at Belgrade?
It was better than that
I
one.
mean, it's no standard, but if you go too far back behind first,
you might disappear in that field of Belgrade off that ledge.
Yeah, that was on the
cliff,
right field side, yeah.
cliff out there in the field somewhere.
Yeah,
You'd
the
fall
left field
off.
had a bank, you had to crawl.
Yeah.
Well, another one you could talk to, Dean Christensen.
Yeah.
He was a catcher, and
Right.
he talks baseball every once in a while. Dean Christensen up there.
Ah.
He would love. He could give you the full 45 minutes by himself.
Yeah, his first
Don't
year
tell him I
ball.
said that. He's a friend of
Well,
mine.
you guys probably know Wayne Schuler. You know, he'd been here in town for many years. He played for St. Laborie. And that's not a very big town, but it had its own ball team. So
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of every little Chapman. I have pictures of a Chapman team. Every little town had their own identity, their own ball.
Well, there are so many more people because there's nobody out in the country anymore. There's only, I don't know, 10% as many people as the
Yeah.
age when we're talking about, because there's hardly any farmsteads anymore. So many
I don't know if
fewer.
anybody's mentioned Waldo Peterson,
Yep,
but he was a pitcher,
right.
and he could really throw a curve. And he'd throw it inside, kind of at the batter, and then he'd holler, "Well, look out!"
Yeah,
And then it'd curve right over the plate.
when he was young, though, I can remember when he could really throw hard.
Yeah,
When he started out, and then he hurt his arm enough that he could throw enough curves that he was still good. But when he was young, he didn't throw anything but fastballs. But